Welcome to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. I'm your host, Luke Darnell. This week we have Jeff Vanderlinde with Shiggin and Grinnin. They've won all over and cooked all over the world. The Shiggin boys are notorious for having a good time, cooking great food, and always showing at the big events. This episode will make you laugh, think, and hopefully be confident in your cooking. So please join me in welcoming Jeff Vanderlinde. The Barbecue League is the ultimate barbecue experience, and here's why. One small annual investment from you instantly unlocks all 70-plus tell-all recipes, enthusiast recipes, restaurant tours, and more in their unmatched library. This isn't your typical YouTube-type content. World champions like Getting Basted, Shake and Bake Barbecue, Heavy Smoke Barbecue, La Pasadita Barbecue, and 913 Barbecue share their full tell-all recipes. No secret is left unsaid, and a new video release is guaranteed every single week of your membership. You'll also see unfiltered looks from all levels of pitmasters during their live competition coverage, and those same pitmasters are accessible through the league's upbeat online community. As soon as you sign up, you'll also have a full arsenal of some of the best discounts in barbecue from brands like Snake River Farms, Blues Hog, Big Papa Smokers, Gunter Wilhelm, Gateway Drum Smokers, and more. The Barbecue League puts on members-only contests throughout the year, hosts live and virtual events, and offers a full-access league lounge at participating events. Our listeners to this podcast can receive $10 off of the $100 annual membership this month only, this month and leading up to the Royal, by using the code AugustPitmaster on thebarbecueleague.com. That's AugustPitmaster on thebarbecueleague.com. You don't want to miss this content and all of this learning. It is one hell of an investment. I'm here with Shiggin and Grinnin, Jeff Vanderlinde. What's up, my friend?
Living the dream.
We were just talking offline a little bit about tables of death. I had not looked at the score sheet from Alabama this weekend because I didn't really want to be honest with you, because I'm just tired of like nitpicking that stuff. So I looked at it, and there was a table of death, and I definitely hit it on chicken. There were two angel tables that I never saw.
Yeah.
And, finished in the teens and everything, and no calls, 13th overall, and felt that I had a good cook. But, what do you do?
Sometimes Sitsville, as you call it, isn't a bad thing. It's a little humbling, but the stuff that's out there, I do think there's an issue, but you know what? I'm not smart enough to figure out how to fix it. Because like I said, there's angel tables, there's tables of death. And it, last year was really bad with COVID. This year we're seeing, some of the better cooks rise to the top again. But it's also kind of cool seeing a lot of first time people get their first grand, their first GC. And I always say you'll never forget your first. It's your second that can be really tough to get.
Right. And that's been the experience. And, with the advent of classes and all the information that's available online, the Barbecue League and Barbecue Superstars and stuff like that, guys are jumping in and there's no learning curve. They're getting these recipes. They're starting off with shit that people have spent years developing. And I think that has changed barbecue more than anything.
Oh, I agree. I mean, my learning curve, we've been at this for 10 plus years, more than that. It was trial and error, and it took you, 2-3 years to get a call. And now with the classes, and it's good and bad for the sport. It gives a lot of people a chance because the sport's got so expensive. It's $1,000 a weekend. I don't care whatever way, some might be 800, the next one might be 1,200, depending on how far you drive. I mean, we have our closest competition coming up this weekend. It's 2.5 hours away. But for us, we're like, oh shit, we only got to drive 6 hours this weekend. That's close for us. Being from the great, Southern Canada, as I like to say, the great state of Minnesota.
Right. And I just went to Alabama, 13 hours, and Now I'm in Myrtle Beach, which is 8 hours from home. Just because I need to practice. I need to find things to cook. We're getting into, as you said, it's time to get serious. We're getting into the business part of the season of barbecue.
Well, it is. And you guys, fortunate enough to get the jack and stuff this year. And, the Royal and the Jack, and it doesn't get any bigger than that stuff. That's what everybody wants to cook.
Yeah, it's been a great experience getting drawn for the Jack because I've never had it happen before. So, but one of the things that is always in the back of my brain is that I always envisioned you and Darren being there when I was there, and that's been hard for me to stomach a little bit.
Well, and this is how fortunate and how much I love barbecue, but we had our own little neighborhood. I've been fortunate to cook it 7-8 times. And part of that was, we deserved to be there. We had multiple grand champions, 5 or 6 every year. Never got the magical 7. And also being from Minnesota and in South Dakota, we had a few other opportunities to get a draw. That there weren't a lot of teams cooking in South Dakota, so we'd go out there to a comp. And I know I represented South Dakota twice in my career.
Yeah,
which is cool. But I wanted nothing to be between you guys. As you know, you and Lucky and put you guys in between Big Papa and then me and Darren on the ends just to harass you guys.
That would be a dream scenario. So you're part of the team Shiggin and Grinnin. It is now my favorite hat to wear to strip clubs is my Shiggin and Grinnin visor that I stole out of your garage. Love that hat. What was the turning point for you guys as a team?
I cook with 2 of my best friends. Ted Moonen, and everybody knows Teddy. He's infamous for lots of things, but going to jail at the Jack is probably the number one thing. And then Derek Johnsberg. And, ironically, Teddy, the first couple of years, he never missed a contest. And when we won our first grand, Teddy was laying in the hospital.
Wow. And
I called him, and I'll never forget that, tell him we won, and he called bullshit. Nowadays we'd say fake news, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm 100% serious. We just freaking won GC. And we've been together, cooking pretty much from the beginning. I started out with a couple other guys for a year or 2, but then Derek and Ted have been together probably since 2009. And all
That's
the time.
Awesome.
It was all 3 of us every weekend for a long time.
Now you guys have, I don't want to say it's a reputation. I mean, you guys, you do well, but you also have a great time. And I just find the dynamic between the 3 of you to be amazing. I mean, everybody has their part to play, and they give you a really hard time for being really anal about certain things. It's amazing.
Well, they call me the den mother, and they really can't say much because they're napping most of the time. Derek is him and Teddy are they like to have fun. And back in the day, I was with them all the time. And then they started putting me to bed by 11 o'clock or midnight. And we definitely saw our scores change. Because one guy was able to get up in the morning.
Derek is one of the most sleeping people that I've ever met. That guy can take a nap pretty much on command. It's fantastic.
With a chew in his mouth.
Yeah. Now, though, I got to give a shout out to my girl, Sadia. I know she listens. And now he's got to stay awake a little bit longer.
That he does. Yeah, she's good humor. She's coming to the Royal, dude.
Oh, that's amazing.
I got word today that she's in for the whole weekend. But we got her hotel room. Probably best maybe not to stay with Shiggin after festivities from last year and other years anyways.
Probably not.
Good thing Darren only turned 50 once.
That's a story I'm saving when I can have all of us on at the same time. It's just such an epic Uh, Probably, and something that'll never happen again. I mean, I don't want to tease the audience too much, but the fact that we got away with that is pretty good.
Well, it was good, and there and a lot of good times you can do it, and it was the greatest time to try to recreate it, and it never works out that way.
Right.
It's just
And
one of those
that's,
things that happened.
yeah, and that's what, when people ask us all the time why we travel to go and cook all these other things, and it's like because we have these experiences with people that we don't see very often that are great friends, and it's just a lot of fun. And I think that's a lot of the reason why you guys do barbecue as well.
What's the main reason? I love my barbecue family. I have a job that I'm pretty stressed out during the week. And to me, barbecue is just a stress reliever. And if you're not happy camping, having some cocktails, and cooking some food, you need to find something else to do.
Right.
There's drama and everything. And I'm pretty good about staying out of all the drama. I mean, I always say I have friends from Virginia, Mr. Luke Darnell, Florida, Texas, California, all over the United States. And it's just awesome to be able to go, hey, I got to go out here for my kid's lacrosse game, or I have to go over here for something for a kid or family. And you're in a state, you call the people and they show up.
Yeah.
Because you got to have that night with your barbecue, friends. I've got some awesome stories with, Big E and Mark Rasmussen, and being in Chicago one weekend, didn't know they were going to be there. Well, guess who ended up together at that night? And I was there for an engagement party. They're just great guys.
Yep, and that's why I think the majority of us do it. But there's also the fun parts of winning trophies and shit like that, which is great. We all love to talk about the big wins. Do you have any big failures where you did something wrong that really taught you something moving forward?
Who doesn't? You remember a little bit what you do right, but your failures were big. I think, there's been some big ones, just some missteps in any cook. My biggest failure, I've got a few of them. The biggest failure I can remember didn't involve me. It involved a certain someone at the Jack Daniels turning in pulled pork instead of doing what he would normally should have done. Oh. And that's something that kind of sticks out in my mind. But,
yeah.
I'm so regimented, and this is why my team gives me shit. When I say 10:30 and it says 10:30 in the schedule, that doesn't mean 10:29, and it doesn't mean 10:31. It means freaking 10:30. And I run it that way. I have alarms set like crazy, and I usually holler at those guys 2 or 3 minutes before so they can wake up and, wipe the crud out of their eyes. But, there's been a lot of, I try not to dwell on the failures because there's been so many great times and successes. The worst contest, when you're standing in mud and all your stuff is destroyed and the water's there and your cooker goes out and everything, but those are the ones you remember. And man, were they some good times.
Absolutely. So when you're talking about your team, would you say that you're the more detail-oriented guy of the team? For sure.
Oh, no question. It's a dictatorship. It ain't no freaking democracy on that.
Right. I get a lot of that with my team. They get mad when I ask for something. It's like, hey, it's 10, like you just said, it's 10 o'clock. It's time to do this. Oh, well, hold on a minute. No. There's no hold on a minute.
Hey, are they going to get a chance to rebuttal this? Because otherwise I'll really tell you some good stuff. But if I get a rebuttal, then they're going to call bullshit. And we all know who tells the truth on the team because they're the two biggest bullshitters in the world.
They are scheduled to be recorded at some point after this.
Yep, no problem. But well, we can get the crooks a barbecue, and I'll give you some tidbits on those guys. As they've lied to me plenty of times. And, stole trophies one time and never told me. And the organizer thought it was me and held up awards. And I had no idea.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that was good. Or the time that Derek is so cheap and I want to cook a certain kind of chicken. And he was buying the chicken at the time. So he buys one pack of the chicken that I like, and he puts that on top. And then he buys the cheap stuff and puts it all underneath because he figures I won't look at it. And I happen to see the cheap stuff on the bottom.
Wow. That's terrible.
Or when Derek gets out and washes the windshield in the motorhome, but he only washes the side, whether he's going to be driving or sitting, he only washes that side because he figures the other person doesn't need to see.
Oh my gosh. These guys are terrible.
Oh, I wouldn't, you know what?
I mean, I love them both.
Do it without them. I wouldn't do it without them. No way, no how. If I'm not bitching sometimes at Derek, if it goes smooth, we think something is wrong.
Exactly. No, you cook with two of the best, man. You guys don't have any habits or rituals, do you? You're not superstitious, are you?
Oh, what on what part?
On any part. You guys do it all.
Oh, I am superstitious on what we drink. I had my lucky shorts like a lot of guys, but I think the biggest thing that morphed into that is, and that was all Derek, is the Shiggin and Grinnin breakfast.
Yeah.
Derek is sick of cooking the same thing, but I won't let him change, and Derek's actually the best cook on the team as far as a chef goes. He just doesn't have the patience for the barbecue side because if there's a shortcut, he'll look for it.
Right.
Where I can't do what he does in a kitchen. And that's where Derek's strength is in a kitchen and rely on, Teddy, he has his strengths all together. From the dude can fix anything. Give him a roll of duct tape. And you know what? You can count on him. That's the big thing. You can count on him, and you can count on Derek too. But, Teddy, I would say, is the workhorse. He's the guy that'll take the shit job, and he'll just do it without complaining.
Yep.
But it's funny because we all three have our certain jobs that we do. And mine is trimming, cooking, rubbing it, getting it. And there's, Derek is getting the stuff that we need, and Teddy's getting the trailer ready. It's just a good all around match. We've had a lot of good times and a lot of successes.
Oh, and one of my favorite ones was 2019 American Royal when you guys won pork, because we had a call and we were right in front of the stage. And just seeing you guys being up there and being able to take some really cool pictures, being right in front of the stage, I'll never forget that. That was amazing.
That was a cool moment. We still are current American Royal World Champions in pork. Thanks.
Absolutely. Longest reign ever.
Yes, it is.
Well, you get a chance to defend that here in a few weeks.
Yep. And the Royals always been good to us.
Yeah. So, switch gears here a little bit. You are it's been well documented, you are one of the most successful realtors in the country. I think you've been ranked inside the top 1,000, if I'm not mistaken. How does your career and life experiences with stuff like that make you a better pitmaster on the competition trail?
I really do enjoy people. And for the way I run my business is also pretty regimented. I don't deviate. I will always call you back, and I will never lie to you. And barbecue, you got to be truthful with yourself. Hey, if you're not winning and you're at 8-10 comps and you're 40th and brisket every time, dude, maybe it's you. You gotta adapt, and you gotta learn. And for me, it's a tenderness competition, and you've heard that before because of the people that are out there. Because there's rubs and sauces and all the good stuff out there, but you need to have a plan. You need to stick to that plan. And I go back to my notes now. I haven't done the last 3-4 years, but I have notes going back from the beginning. I can tell you what the temperature was that day at the contest.
Yeah. That's the only way you get better, is to track that and have institutional knowledge.
Yep. And I think one of the other big things is the new teams need to ask questions. Pitmasters are going to lie to you, but they're going to tell you 90% of the truth.
Yep. And I think that the teams that seek that knowledge and can decipher that and figure out the right things to pull, those are the guys that are successful. Let's talk about some gear a little bit. What's one of the best investments that you've ever made in competition barbecue?
Oh, by far, porch trailer.
Yeah.
You know what? Everybody's like, oh, the newer teams look at the guys like, oh, you're comfy in your trailer and everything else. Hey, for 5 years, I pushed all my shit out of a little 8x10 trailer, set up my CTO, set up my easy up, set up my Traegers, and cooked out in the weather. We didn't have air. You trimmed underneath the easy up. You turned in under the easy up. When it got really bad, we could go in this little 8x10 trailer with shitty lighting and everything. But for me, when you got comfortable and you could be up off the ground and in that air conditioner heat, that was, to me, the game changer.
And yeah, I agree 100%. I think the first time that you almost freeze to death at a contest, and you're like, all right, I need shelter. That was a big change for us. That's an expensive thing. Do you have any purchases of $100 or less that have really impacted your cook?
Thermopen.
Yeah, Thermopen's amazing.
There is a lot of little stuff out there, the Thermopens. I'm a big fan of electric knife.
You're an electric knife guy?
I'm an electric knife guy.
Oh.
I can freaking trim a freaking, it is that, I can be surgical with mine. I only use it for turn-ins. I am not good enough. And my dad was a butcher, but I don't think I know how to sharpen knives properly. Electric knife, you can have something overdone. You can have it if you know how to work that. And I buy a new one every year. And now they don't make the Cuisinart ones. And and I figured out they weren't making. I found a store that had 4 of them, so I bought all 4.
Oh man, I did not know this.
Oh, electric knife is the only way to fly on turn-ins.
I completely shamed Darren. The one time I walked in his trailer and I saw him using it, I went, huh. He went, what? I went, you'd think somebody that's called the GOAT would know how to use a knife.
Did you shame him? Because he doesn't use an electric knife anymore.
I know. I kind of take credit for that.
Well, I'm not as easy an influence as he is.
Oh, I'm aware. You're hard to crack. You're not going to change shit.
No, I'm an asshole. And I'm very set in my ways. And I'm not good enough with one. So let's call it what it is.
Sure. I'll be honest with you. I bought an electric knife. I used it once and I hated it and hated what it looked like. And I wasn't good at it. So I was like, I'm going back to the regular knife.
See, and for me, when we hit the competitions of no power, King of Smokers is a perfect example. I was lost.
All right.
I mean, I use my electric knife for everything but chicken. I use it on, obviously, rib turn-in. I use it on pork turn-in, and I use it on brisket turn-in. And if I could figure out how to use it on chicken, I probably would.
Let's talk about some people. Who has impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
For me, it's easy, and it's a name that nobody will know. There's actually the 2 guys I started with, Mike Crom and Gary Harding, under Subtle Smoke. When Mike got a little bit older, every competition on the way home, my phone would ring every time. And when we started winning, I mean, we had some great years that, we couldn't lose. I mean, we went 7 competitions and come out with 4 grands and 2 reserves, he was. And then because I was up here, and the other thing is I took 1 class, and I think it was in 2008, Rod Gray. I think Rod Gray, there are still people out there winning with his recipes and doing his techniques. I still use them stupid water bottles, them Neutrogena water bottles or whatever. That's all. When you walk in people's trailer, the old school guys, that's all Rod Gray. He probably shigged it from somebody else. And that's where we kind of even found our name.
Oh, really?
Shiggin, we had to figure out, we didn't know what the hell it meant really at the beginning. But Rod Gray, later in my career, but at the beginning, I would say that the guys I started with and Rod Gray shortened my learning curve up. Being up here, I wasn't part of the team and I didn't have anybody to go to. I had to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the influential ones for me are my sponsors. Look how I've been with my sponsors for a long time, and I have the best sponsors. I have the sponsors everybody wants.
Yep.
And here's how you get them. Don't be an asshole. And loyalty.
That is a great piece of advice.
I've been offered to leave Compart how many times by other stuff. And you know what? Jim Compart and that family, they have a great product. Anella, Snake River Farms, great product. Chili Dogs, Yeti, everybody that I've been with for a long time. Traeger. I won the American Royal in 2013 on an old shitty Traeger, a Smith & Wesson model. And we won the whole thing. We had 2 Traegers.
That's fantastic.
And a CTO, and the equipment and just the stuff that needs to be there, and enjoy your time.
Absolutely. That's great. That's a great piece of advice, because I think all of us that have been doing this for a long time, we always get that advice about, or question about, how do I get sponsors? And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, just don't be an asshole, and be loyal. Yeah.
Well, and winning definitely helps. Guys out there, I remember Jim Compart, the day I met him, he assembles the dream team to come up to Minnesota. It's called Fire and Ice. He brings up Boar's Night Out. He brings up Mark Lampert, and he brings up all these guys that he had down in Memphis. And I was partying with him that night when I met him. And then it comes time to awards, and I kicked their ass in ribs, and then I kicked their ass in pork. And I think we RGC'd that day. I can't remember. But as I'm walking up pork, he hands me a Compart hat, wants me to wear it. I'm like, I didn't know you, dude. And then he called. But it turns out Minnesota, what a connection.
Yeah.
And the good sponsorships happen. Did you know Snake River Farms, Anella, who everybody knows who Anella is. She's the greatest lady ever. She wouldn't talk to us for years because she was scared of Teddy. And Teddy can be an intimidating dude.
He can. Yeah.
And we didn't hit her up, and you don't go out and I use this, but you just kind of let some people know. And winning helps. Don't get me wrong. Winning is the number one way to get sponsors.
It's definitely a give and take. And you can't, the people that, they're like, I need this X product and stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, what are you going to give the company? I mean, you have to think about that, and you have to think about it. I think less as a sponsorship, but more as a partnership.
It is. And you agree. And I agree 100%. I did, when Yeti picked me up, every competition, I would go around to a new team. I would introduce myself and I'd give them a Yeti cup. Show them pictures of boxes. What do you guys need help with? What can I help? What can I do? And the feedback, and I didn't do it for the feedback, but the organizers that would come up to me, or a lot of them are chambers or something, and hey, so-and-so, local guy, you gave him, he spent 15 minutes with him. Guys, that's what barbecue is about.
Yep.
It's just cool.
It is. And we need to keep growing it, or else we're not going to have it. We need to get some people in.
Well, and it is dying on that side of it, and I hate to see that happen.
Absolutely. So what do you think is the most surprising thing to come out of competition barbecue for you?
Oh, the opportunities. I am, a lot of people don't know, but I am partner at Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply in Minnesota. That's just killing it. We're looking at a second location. But for me, and I'm going to name drop, meeting Stretch, Guy Fieri, Tuffy Stone, and all these guys. And pretty soon I'm in Singapore, I'm in South Korea, and I'm in Japan cooking for our troops. To me, that is the coolest thing that has ever came out of barbecue, that I get to travel the world with these guys. And you know what? They pay me, which I do donate it to the local Delano Legion Club. And it is by far the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life.
That's
Seeing
amazing.
these troops giving it up for their family. That would have never came without the competition barbecue.
That's awesome. Man, I don't really know what to ask after that because that's so powerful.
Oh, no, right. Keep talking.
What do you think's missing from competition barbecue these days?
Camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not somebody's fault, but we're not in the easy ups that we used to be in. And, you know, with your neighbor, you're outside. Now you're in your trailer. And I'm guilty of it. And you know what? I'm not going back to an easy up, so I'm not going to apologize for it. You know, we're all getting a little bit older and just be comfortable. But, you know, missing in the barbecue, I don't know how, you know, it's been since I've been in it, people bitch about judges. You know what? It's subjective. You need to cook your way through that. Quit bitching about the judges all the time. I mean, we started out talking about the table of death.
Right.
But what ultimate angel table did I hit in 2019 to win the American Royal Pork?
It's a give and take.
You think my pork was the best pork that day out of 600 teams? It was damn good, by the way. Jim Compart said that was the best pork he's ever tasted. It was damn good. But you also have, you know, hit that table too.
Yeah.
Do the right things.
No,
Follow up.
Yep. Follow up.
Don't cook angry. Don't fucking cook angry either.
That's great advice. Man, I don't really ask this question very much, but I'm going to ask it of you because I think you have a generally great perspective on it. What do you think separates a good pit master from a great pit master?
Laziness versus drive. I don't know if laziness is the right thing, but paying attention to detail. And I look at, hey, if you're going to be, yeah, I'll check that in 5 minutes. To me, that's lazy.
Yeah.
You need to go now. If you think that might be done, go check it now. My attention to detail. And if you go through yourself, Lucky, Darren, Big Papa, you know, look at Big Papa practicing as much as that dude practices. Crazy how much him and James practice. Walk by Darren's. How many probes do you think he's got hanging out of his jambo in meat?
Looks like a spider.
That's right. He's not leaving it to chance, right? You don't leave it to chance.
Nope.
I do use one probe, just because it's my system. I find I cook 3 or 4 pork butts. Whichever money muscle is the most done, that's the one that goes in. And then because that one's done, I'll catch the other ones. And then when they're done, then it goes into the brisket. But that's my timing.
Right.
But you know, the great pit masters, they have a feel. I don't taste any of the food that I turn in anymore. It's all about feel. I taste nothing.
You taste nothing.
I take that back. I will taste burnt ends to see if we're going to go in the box.
Yeah.
And I did get a call 2 weeks ago, 5th and brisket with burnt ends. And I know some other guys that are going there. Depends on where you are.
I think they're coming back, dude.
You know what? I tend to agree. You know, so the other thing is I think you have to adapt because I think the judges' palates have changed a little bit too. It used to be sweet, sweet, sweet. I think they like a little bit of kick in it. You know, everybody, the cliche sweet with a little bit of heat. No, right. They didn't like the little bit of heat. But, you know, a great product for that. And I'm not schlepping. I am part of his charity stuff, but Big Papa's Hallelujah. Oh, man, that's great stuff. That's what sits on my stove at home. Use it on everything.
Well, so do we. Mac and cheese, anything and everything gets that rub. It's amazing.
Yep.
Man, I feel like we could talk forever. You listen to music when you cook?
Country. Has to be country.
Oh, it's brutal.
I know it has to be country, you know. And I don't like listening to Pandora. I don't like listening to any of the other apps. I like the local radio station.
Oh, really? You're a local radio guy.
I'm a local. I want to know what's going on, who's got the sale, what the weather is. where the local Hootie Hoots are going to be hanging out, see if they're advertising the competition. I'm a country on that side of it, and very seldom do we listen to anything besides that.
So before we get into the rapid fire questions, I do want to ask this question because I think it's important, because I've cooked next to you, I've cooked around you, and one of the things that impressed me the most is how much confidence that you cook with. Where does that confidence come from, being an athlete, as a kid, or where does that come from?
Prayers. One thing people don't know about me is I say my prayers just about every morning. And I always feel that a lot of people, you go to the Jack. So you're going this year, right? You're happy to be there.
Yep.
Why aren't you going to win?
Oh, I'm going to win.
Exactly. And you know who the best is at that? Who has the best attitude that can beat anybody on any day? And we don't need to blow any more sunshine up his ass, do we?
No, we don't. But Darren, yeah.
Darren, he's got an attitude, and he's got positive attitude. And, I've had that. I've always kept a positive attitude. And I start thinking 3 or 4 days before that I'm going to win the contest. Do I get mad? I don't. Absolutely no, I don't. But I have a job to do. And I have a lot of fun. But the more I drink at a contest, the worse my scores are. So if I get really fucked up early and pass out like a 10, then we're good.
We're good to go.
Because then I get a good night's sleep. But if I'm freaking up at 1 o'clock in the morning and Ted and Derek are sitting next to me, which happens quite a bit, it's going to be a little rough. It's going to be a rough day for us.
Yeah, you mentioned
on that side of it.
Yeah, you mentioned Darren and his attitude and his focus. First time I was next to you guys at the Royal was the first time I ever really saw anybody go into that mode. And it was, you could sense it, that he was going to win that contest. That was 18, I think. 18 or 17. But I just remember looking at his face and being like, okay, that's another gear. I didn't know that this gear existed.
Yeah, and it does. And, I got to meet guys like him, the greatest, Johnny Trigg. There's so many name droppers. I'm fortunate I've been around a long time that I get to be friends with all those guys and know those guys. But there is another gear. You need, a lot of it's attitude. I'm a big believer in the clean living and good things happen to good people. Just be straight with people.
Yep.
I think is a real big part of it. Don't be a douchebag.
That's 100%. And it leads into our first rapid fire question, which is, what do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
Yeah.
People being douchebags.
It is. You're bitching about judges. You're bitching about organizers. Are you freaking kidding me, dude? They didn't pick up your garbage. Are you too fucking lazy to freaking take your garbage 50 yards down and freaking throw it in the dumpster? And I'm refraining from saying names at this point. But guys, these organizers work their ass off, and now they're not making a lot of money doing it for their organizations. And majority it's all for charity. Yep. But everybody works their ass off, and it pisses me off when I see somebody disrespecting an organizer.
I agree 100%. Do you have a favorite pre, during, or post-competition meal?
Oh, Mexican on the way home every time. Doesn't matter.
Every time.
Every time. We know where every Mexican restaurant, we pull in, they see us coming, we bring barbecue in and they give us a free dinner, and we bring them ribs and stuff to a couple of them. Yep. We are Mexican post. Doesn't matter if one of us needs to get home, which happens a lot of times, we are stopping for Mexican.
That's amazing. Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
Bourbon.
Yes, you're quite we all kind of got on that bourbon train the same time, and you've gone way beyond all of us.
Well, I always say that I was bourbon. If you look back, I was bourbon way before that.
You have
bourbon.
quite the collection. It's amazing.
I love to share bourbon. on that. I still have a bottle of Dom Perignon in my motorhome that I carry around because one day Stretch is going to get his first grand champion.
And you're just
might
keeping
be vinegar.
Yeah. But it's getting popped.
Yep, it might be vinegar at that point. But yeah, nope, for sure.
All right, last question. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions, what would it say and why? You can't say in Delano, say your thing about the masks.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
This is the best billboard ever.
Yeah, for your listeners. So we put up on my digital billboard a picture of a mask and said, if you're ugly with pretty eyes, now's your time to shine.
Oh, it's the best. I tell that story all the time.
And people were somewhere offended at it. I'm like, are you ugly or what? You know? Right now, I've changed a little bit. And with all the stuff going on, I know it's going to sound cliche, but it'd be something for people to get along. You know, I'm not a beauty pageant asking for world peace, but man, it sure would be nice if the country would just come together somehow.
A lot less animosity, I think, would do a lot of people a lot of good. There's no reason to hate everybody or get so bent up that just being around people like we all enjoy becomes a chore. And it shouldn't be that way. Yeah, I would agree.
But, you know, it's okay for people not to get along. You don't make my world go around. I don't make your world go around, and that's okay.
Right. Everyone can get along and find a common ground and really enjoy each other's company.
Going through life Shiggin, because everybody does it in everything.
That's, you know what? That's a great billboard. You go through life Shiggin.
Because everybody does it.
If you're not Shiggin, you're not trying.
That's right. And there is no really original thoughts anymore. I'm guilty of it. If I hear something funny, I repeat it. If I hear something smart, you know, you use it. If I see a good advertising piece in my business when I was in Florida, you don't think I'm bringing that back to Minnesota? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for being on here, buddy. Rumor has it that Derek and Teddy will be on the show soon with Kim and Leanne for the teammate portion of this, and that'll be amazing.
Well, it'll be a lot better because I got a lot more shit to say.
Maybe we'll have a rebuttal episode.
You know, and then, you know, just the whole Shiggin, because I've been all over the United States with those guys. From Puerto Rico, you know, then we've been on every big... Man, we've been just blessed.
Yeah.
From Houston to Memphis to the Royal to the Jack to King of Smokers to Sonny's Invite. You know, all the big stages we've been fortunate enough to be invited and have been on every one of them.
No, you guys are definitely one of the biggest success stories in barbecue, and I'm proud to call all you guys friends, and I really enjoy spending time with you.
Well, that's why you continue. That's why we're going to team up here, right?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens there. I don't know that we should announce that quite yet.
Oh, we're not announcing it. I said we should.
We should. We should think about it.
Yeah, we'll think about having some good times. All right, buddy. Shiggin and Grinnin. Yeah, just
where can people find you, bud?
Facebook, Shiggin and Grinnin.
Right on.
And or just Facebook, Jeff Vanderlinde. I'm not great at social media, and it's kind of funny. The sponsors, and they're not even really, they're friends that I have that I'm partners with in this, have asked me to you know who put me on Instagram? Tuffy Stone set up my Instagram in the backseat of a car when we were cooking in Virginia together for the troops, me, him, and Stretch. Tuffy Stone took my phone and got me an Instagram account.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, on that. And because I just don't do a lot of it. I'm more of a word of mouth guy. Anybody can call me anytime and I will tell them what I think, you know, and try to help out. It's important to me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you for being on here today.
All right, I'm out. But in parting words, don't listen to a fucking word that Teddy and Derek have to say because it's fake news.
Fake news. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, buddy. Later. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and share it out with all your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke YouTube channel as well. We will have another episode for you next week. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedenka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast is a property of Old Virginia Smoke LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2021.
Yes, Old Virginia Smoke.